Well, hello, all you Lasso fans. We get to say Lasso again. We are Peanut Butter and Biscuits. I'm your host today, Craig, joined by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Jeremy Geckner. How are you?
This is not a drill, everyone. This is not a drill. We finally got it. Woohoo! It's on.
That's right. We put out the bat signal or the Ted signal this morning. We woke up to wonderful news from the New Heights podcast, who has Jason Sudeikis on their show this week. And
yeah, I guess all we have to do is win a few Super Bowls, and we'll get Jason on our show. You know, like we've been going about this all wrong, man.
I will tell you, Jason Kelsey has always been my favorite Kelsey brother. Nothing against Travis, but the fact that Jason just asked, very casually, nonchalantly, are we able to ask about Ted Lasso? And Jason's like, yeah, I think you are. So it was just such a great,
not say yes to the Kelsey brothers. Yeah,
it is just like the most fantastic, oh yeah, this is fine. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, just nonchalant, this news that we've been waiting for months now, because of course there's been tons of rumors out there, Jeremy, and there's been a lot of speculation. There's been people saying, hey, they filed for permits. They're signing these different actors. Filming is going to start in May. It's going to be an AFC Richmond's women's team. All of this, but up until today, it was truly speculation, and so that's why we were kind of encouraged by all of it, of course, but we didn't want to run necessarily back to the microphones and talk necessarily about stuff that wasn't set in stone. But now we know from the man himself, we know several things. We know that they are writing or have written season 4, that Ted is going to return as coach of an AFC women's team. So those are pretty big deals, dude.
Yeah. So, it's very interesting that, because we've all been waiting. Like you said, we've seen the contract renewals that Warner Brothers exercised on people like Brett Goldstein and Hannah Waddingham. And then we're sitting here like, there's all these permits that are starting to be put in. There's all these whispers. But what have we kept saying, Craig, through all of this? Every time somebody's asked us, every time we've been searching for our sources and stuff, it always comes back to Jason. I mean, Bill Lawrence himself, said in a podcast not too long ago that if Jason, I'm going to wait till Jason says if it's actually happening. And now, with this admission to the Kelsey brother, release of this information. He put it out there just very much on the nose, talking about that. I do love that in this appearance, though, he also said, when they asked him about if he's returning to America, and he said literally that's that's getting a little too into it. So I do love keeping a little bit of mystery in this. But then, of course, Craig, not too long ago, Apple TV themselves have officially released a press release saying that it has been renewed for season 4, with Jason Sudeikis set to star to return as star and executive producer. There is also a quote from Sudeikis himself in this press release. He says here, quote, "As we all continue to live in a world where so many factors have conditioned us to, quote, look before we leap. In season 4, the folks at AFC Richmond," very, very key here, folks, AFC Richmond, "learn to leap before they look, discovering that wherever they land, it's exactly where they're meant to be." So that is Jason's quote from the official Apple TV press release. There's a lot more in here, but what do you think about that little quote there from Jason, as he has given us a lot of information here on March 14th?
Well, listen, I think that this news is going to, of course, excite many of us, and including us. We've been waiting for this news. We wanted season 4. We wanted some kind of spinoff. We wanted something. We wanted to continue this story. But I think there are those people out there that are going to be worried that this was such a great 3-season arc, that what are you doing? Why are you going to try this? Why are you continuing this story? I will just tell you that, the way that I always think of sequels or reboots or remakes or whatever the case may be, is that it doesn't touch or take away from the original property that we got. And so I think it is in good hands. They mentioned when they were doing press for season 3, what seems like forever ago, that, it was a 3-season arc originally in his head, and that he was going to put it to bed for a while. And it's been, a couple of years to be able to kind of sit around with what options they had. Of course, they teased us at the end of season three these potential different avenues, and we've been speculating ever since. And I really think that the idea of an AFC women's team is something that it just makes so much sense because you can tell in Jason's own life, he shows up at so many women's sporting events. And in a way, it kind of like allows him to draw attention to sports that need attention drawn to them because women are so competitive in all of these sports and just have never gotten the same kind of TV rights as men, never gotten the same kind of prestige. I think that's changing right now for the better because you've got stellar athletes out there like your Caitlin Clarks, like your Simone Biles, like so many others that are really putting a spotlight on female sports. And I think that Jason also enjoys that moment. You know, you often see him out in public sporting like whether it's like a Casey Currents shirt, which he wore in Ted Lasso as well. You know,
Yeah.
like I really do think that this guy supports female sports and really wants to continue to make sure that it has this kind of renaissance that it's having now, or be at least part of it. And I'm not saying that Jason or Ted Lasso is going to make it like it takes a man to like make women's sports a big deal, but just the fact that like we're going through this period where it seems like female sports are getting so much more spotlight on them, and all these incredible athletes that have been there the whole time are finally getting the recognition they deserve. I just think that's cool, and I'm glad that Ted Lasso is going to continue that storyline.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll also call out my personal favorite from the U.S. women's national team, Lindsay Heaps. Hail the captain there. But there are some also really good quotes here from the podcast himself, because as you said, like, yes, Jason himself has confirmed quote, Ted's coaching a women's team. So that's it. So that was from the Kelsey Brothers podcast, New Heights. But then he also added in there another quote where he said that it's both exciting and daunting coming up with the new season, quote, because we told the story we wanted to tell, but there's more there, and it is a neat group of people to work with. So there you go. Like, that's basically, it kind of does feel like it, like, oh, I miss my friends. But one more quote here from the, let's see here, the head of Apple programming for Apple TV, Matt Chernis. Hey, Matt, come on anytime you want. He said, Ted Lasso has been nothing short of a juggernaut, inspiring a passionate fan base all over the world. I think we can confirm that. And delivering endless joy and laughter, all while spreading kindness, compassion, and unwavering belief. Everyone at Apple is thrilled to be continuing our collaboration with Jason and the brilliant creative minds behind this show. So like there's not a lot more to say there, Craig, in terms of like, that's all the press release says, because after that, there is one little bit here that they are adding a new writer this year, which is Jack Burdett, who is a very seasoned TV writer, wrote for 30 Rock and Modern Family, but most notably got a few nominations, I believe, this year for writing Nobody Wants This, the Apple or the Netflix comedy that got a lot of really good buzz there. So they're adding a pretty all-star guy there. They say Brett Goldstein is coming back as a writer and an executive producer as well as Sarah Walker and Phoebe Walsh as writers and producers as well. So it looks like the whole band is getting back together here. I don't see anything about Joe Kelly in here, but they do have, I'm assuming Brendan Hunt will also be involved because they picked up his option. And then, of course, Bill Lawrence is still coming back as executive producer. So it appears like the band is getting back together here, man. And as you said, like, do you think that it's a good idea to bring him back to AFC Richmond? Because there were a lot of people like, oh, he's back there. I mean, I'm assuming maybe this would be a time leap thing there, right? Because like the whole point of the 3-season arc was him coming to grips with being a father and being away from his son. So I don't know. Do you think we're going to get like a time jump here where like Henry is grown up? Is Henry going to come with him now? Like it's going to be very interesting to see how they deal with that.
Well, the closest thing that I saw personally to the development of a soccer program at all is when we started to hear word of what would eventually become St. Louis City, right?
Right.
So in that time, it did take several years because
That's
essentially
wild.
what had happened in that time frame is that the St. Louis Rams decided to bail and they went out to LA. And
Yep.
then
Everyone can say a collective FU to Stan Kroenke.
and then the city of St. Louis really started to lobby the MLS pretty hard to be able to get an expansion franchise in St. Louis. And so from that time to the time that St. Louis City had their inaugural season, you're talking a number of years there. And
Yeah.
so we get at the final episode, we get on Rebecca's desk this idea for an AFC Richmond's women's team. Now they already have an established, like they already have a lot of the infrastructure there that would be needed. They're not necessarily going to be a completely new club or anything like that, but it is still going to take a little bit of time to develop develop this and to be able to get this ball rolling. And so I do think that there will be a little bit of a time leap with it. And I think there just has to be by virtue of
Yeah.
the fact that we're going to need a little bit of space. I also like that because Henry's going to be getting older, right? So
Yeah.
it's not like it's going to be any easier for Ted to leave and traverse the world, but perhaps it's easier for the whole family the dynamic of the family to shift and for Henry to be able to do a year in Richmond or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't know what the relationship is between him and Michelle as
Michelle.
well.
Yeah.
So like we're kind of left in like we don't know where that's gonna go. We know that it seems like she and him have connected better at the end of that third season,
Yeah.
working as a youth soccer coach and all of that as well. So I don't know. It's just, there's so many possibilities. And I think just the fact that there are these possibilities is exciting, right? And
Yeah.
so we can speculate till the cows come home, and we absolutely will
We will. Yeah.
speculate. But it's just so great to have this coming back into the world again. But what are your thoughts on all of it?
Yeah, I'm like you. I think that if there's one thing that the people of Ted Lasso and the creators and the whole team have earned is the benefit of the doubt.
Hmm.
So we're going to let them just kind of cook there. And the fact that you're right, like Jason has taken this much time. I mean, it's clear this is something he cares about. It's
Yeah.
not just like oh, let's get some more money or stuff like Jason Sudeikis ain't hurting for money, guys. So he's producing a lot of stuff on the side. And I do love like it's just funny because we were all watching that SNL 50th anniversary thinking he's got the mustache and like in the background of the closing shot, he even put on like the glasses and the visor. I was like, this he's either epically trolling us or he's trying to send a coded message to somebody. But I mean, it is great there. And I love that. And as you said, and just because in case people don't know this, because look, a lot of people discovered soccer and their love of soccer through Ted Lasso. There is a Premier League counterpart. It's called the Women's Super League over in London. So there is a women's league over in London. It was developed in 2010 over in England there. So, like most of the big teams in the Premier League, like Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Man City, Tottenham, West Ham, like they all have women's teams. So this is good, like to get something in there. And yeah, so I'm interested in you. Like, is it going to be like literally the first development of this AFC Richmond women's team? Because, I'm assuming I haven't dug too much into it, but I assume they have a tier system like the Premier League does. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting, just the machinations there. But it just sounds like we're going to get everyone back. And you're right. Like, I just love that the way we ended season 3, it felt like a good place to step off the plane, but it also felt like, yes, there are more things we could learn from these characters and more things that we can do with these characters. And so I think that's why it didn't feel like, anger when the series ended. It didn't feel like, oh God, I wanted more, because it felt final. It felt good. It felt like a catharsis. But now, like, and I think that's why you see the goodwill of this. Like, it's not even just like, we're getting it back, like they're renewing everything right now. But this is like, yes, it feels right that we have more stories to tell with this group. And I'm encouraged that this group is coming back, so.
And I also just think, going back to the fact that this is focusing on a women's club, I think it's really interesting too because it adds such a dynamic. First of all, we're going to get an entirely new cast of female actors that are just going to be hilarious, and it's going to be wonderful. But also the fact that I love watching Welcome to Wrexham, not so
Yeah.
much because of the Ryan Reynolds of it all and Rob McElhenney of it all, but the fact that you get to see that city and what that club means to the city, but you also get to see the women's club as well. And
Yeah.
it's just wild, the disparity between male and female sports. And so I think that that's something also that might be beneficial to highlight in something like season 4.
Yeah.
You follow the women's players just as much as the men's players in that show. And at the beginning of the first season, the women's player, the star player is a prison guard because she's basically doing like a volunteer stint playing for their club in Wrexham. And
Yeah.
so it does kind of show their promotion as well. It shows the tier system that they have in their league as well. And so I just think that this is going to open up a lot of possibilities. And again, of course, if you're a Ted Lasso fan and have not watched Welcome to Wrexham, you are definitely missing out. So certainly head out there. You mentioned too, nobody wants this. First of all, the best most aptly named Netflix show ever because, of course, everyone wants it, which
Yeah.
is why it's hilarious. But that show is wonderful, and so the fact that
Yeah.
they're bringing on one of the writers from that as well, I'm so excited, Jer. It's going to be so great to be able to sit down and I already like messaged our friends. I did it at like 6 o'clock in
Yeah.
the morning, and I
Very
said I'm so
early.
sorry to the West Coasters out there because it's 4 a.m. for you, but just so excited to the Ted Lasso fan base and the community, and just we kind of get to get the band back together a little bit here too, and that's exciting. Just as
Little bit.
exciting as the AFC women's team.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a lot of fun. Also, call out Wrexham. They're currently in third position in the table. Come on, get up there, guys. Yeah, this is just amazing news to wake up to. And like you said, it would be one thing if it was like, oh, Jason let something slip on a podcast, like, or any of this kind of stuff. Those are like those news leaks. For Apple to actually get this out there, I'm wondering, like, I mean, it is a pretty
Well, we
short
know that.
statement.
I mean, that press release has been written for months, right? Like,
Yes, but I
and
mean,
I
it is a pretty short like press release, but like they wouldn't have gotten that quote from Jason if they didn't know they were going to release it. Because you're right, like there is like a world where like, oh, your star let something slip, and like, oh, we got to get something out there now. Crap, crap, crap. No, this is like a completely different quote, and it's like really, this is like the kind of quote you give when you're trying to give like a press synopsis. Like this is what you're going to give to people. Like this is the direction of the show. So this isn't just like, yeah, we're gonna get these people back, and like yes, we are developing. It's an active development. No, this is a literal, concrete statement about the direction of the show itself. So this is you're right. Like this has been planned. This is definitely there, and I think that should give everybody a lot of I guess belief, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, I believe. It's so interesting though. I'd love to be in the press shop. Like you assume that Jason gives them a heads up because he knows going into like they've discussed this with the Kelseys as well. Like, hey,
I
I'm
imagine,
not
yeah,
ready to talk Ted Lasso, or hey, if you wanted to ask that question, I'm gonna. It's not necessarily like this is as organic as maybe it's made to look, but
yeah.
I do wonder. I'm sure that they've had this press release ready to go for a while, and they're just ready. They were ready to hit send on that email and to get it out to the world. And I'm so excited that they did. But, we also have some really cool news coming out of our other show, Shrinking, as well. So I did want to hit on that. And then, I thought maybe it's been like 3 months or so since we've been on this show. So I thought maybe we could provide a little bit of life updates on ourselves as well before we wrap up this thing. But let's dive in. So first, of course, we did learn, actually, it was right around the time of the LA fires and we learned from Krista Miller that Shrinking season 3 was going into production and was going to be going into filming. Of course, we knew that they were renewed. We had a wonderful conversation with Luke Tenney all about that. So that wasn't necessarily the huge news. The big news that has released actually this week is that legendary actor Jeff Daniels has joined the cast and will be
Yes.
playing Jason Segel's father in Shrinking season 3. And I just can't wait for that. I know you are a huge Daniels fan, Jeremy, so take it away. What do you want to
Yes,
say
I
about
mean,
this?
well, it's funny because like you think about like how Jeff Daniels' career started. He's like a kind of a supporting actor. He got a nomination, I believe, for Terms of Endearment back in the day. But then he really turned himself into a comedy actor, of course, with Dumb and Dumber and a lot of other projects there in the mid '90s. And then he really took on kind of like this elder statesman type of actor with The Newsroom in the early 2010s. And that is one of my favorite shows of all time. I think the writing on that is impeccable. But he really kind of turned into like this kind of like elder statesman of acting type thing, which is funny to me because I think most people view him as the guy taking an epic crap on a toilet in Dumb and Dumber. But
Well,
it's
it's funny, Jeremy, you say that, but my first exposure to Jeff Daniels because my brother and I were such history nerds. It was in Gettysburg. That was
Gettysburg. Yeah,
the movie that I remember Jeff Daniels from. So then Dumb and Dumber from that was a huge pivot. I was like, what is this the same guy?
it
What?
was funny. He gave an interview once where he said like he was looking back on it and he was like, I remember doing that scene thinking like this is either the beginning of my career or the end of it.
That is
Very
so
much the beginning,
fantastic.
but this is great. He is a perfect fit for this cast, especially the dramedy aspects of it that we're really starting to steer into in season 2. So and adding his father to this, adding Jimmy's father to this mix, I cannot wait to see like him and Harrison Ford going toe to toe in a couple of scenes. Jimmy's surrogate father with his actual father. So this is going to be very, very interesting. But he is a perfect addition to this cast. And yeah, I'm just super excited about it. Yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, just so much about that show is about how adults can manage things like anxiety and grief. And
Yep.
it is true. I mean, I love my parents to death, but there are times where I think in everybody's life that parents can be supportive and can be nurturing and can be loving, but also can give you so much anxiety as well, especially as you get older and those relationships, like you're trying to make sure you maintain a great relationship with your parents, hopefully. And I know that also parental relationships can provide for a lot of grief. So it'd be interesting
Yep.
to see what direction this is going to end up taking. I love that this such a high caliber actor is already joining this cast of such high caliber actors. I mean,
Yeah.
we got to see Jessica Williams and Gabby's mom in the last season, and we kind of saw some of the tension there. That was sort of resolved in the Thanksgiving episode, but who knows where that's going to go in the future too. And so I think that it's just going to be a wonderful addition to the cast, and I can't wait to see what happens with Shrinking season three. It's going to be wild because we are going to have now, of course, Shrinking season three going to premiere likely before Ted Lasso season four.
Yes.
So as far as a programming note, I would assume that we will continue to do our breakdown of episodes of Shrinking and then, of course, of Ted Lasso when it
Yeah.
becomes available. And so man, I'm just so excited today. Like, it's just like, it's put me in a good mood. I'm wearing my AFC Richmond
I
gear.
got mine in the car, but it was so hot already today. I didn't bring it in.
I know it's going to be 84 degrees, but I'm like,
And then
give
it's
me the
gonna like,
jacket.
yeah, and then we're gonna get literal hurricanes here tonight in Illinois, everyone.
Yeah, be watching out for us in Illinois tonight because like I said, we jumped on as soon as we humanly could, and we're going to get this out as soon as possible. Just
Yeah.
before we head out of here, buddy, it's been a minute, so I did want to mention just a couple of things that have been going on in my life, and you can provide any updates too that you want to. I will just start out there by saying that my second marathon in January was a huge success. And
Yeah.
PR'd it. I talked all about it on my show Beyond the Mouse, so go and check that out. And that even though I said I was going to do a marathon every other year down at Disney World, I did go ahead. I got a severe FOMO and talked into not only doing the marathon, but I'm doing something called the Goofy Challenge
You
in
are
uh,
insane. No.
in 2026. And then so that's going to be on Saturday. That Saturday, I'm going to wake up and do a half marathon. And then on that Sunday, I'm going to wake up and do a full marathon. So it's 39.3 miles. I'm
Then on
excited for that.
Monday, his
So
legs will no longer work.
that's right. That's right. And so I'll continue to kind of go through that. And then another thing on over at Beyond the Mouse again, actually, serendipitous timing. Today we just released our 300th episode with Disney legend Josh Gad. And so it was great to talk to Josh and get to know him a bit more. He's written a wonderful book. And so if you like Disney, or honestly, even if you just like Josh Gad, it's a great conversation. We, of course, talk Disney as well with him, but his book focuses on his entire life journey, the trials and the tribulations that come along with that. It's a much more adult book than I think people might go in thinking a book written by Olaf might be. But it is wonderful to get kind of a peek behind the curtain at his life story and how that's developed. So definitely go and check out that too. And it's just been awesome few months starting to the year here. I'm one that, like, I wish Christmas was just a little bit later because by the time Christmas wraps, then I'm ready for winter to be over. But it does seem like maybe with a couple blips here and there that spring is here, spring has sprung, and Ted Lasso bringing the good news as well. But Jer, any updates you wanted to provide the audience over the last, I don't know, 3-4 months here?
Really? Yeah, I mean, it's been fun times. My son broke and healed his arm in that time. So that was a fun couple of weeks there. Just as a side note, everyone, McDonald's play places are death traps. No, he was definitely doing stuff he shouldn't have done in there. No, but yeah, it's been a little crazy on the just work side for me. We've been doing a lot of stuff at my day job, and then we've also been just going nuts. With all the pop culture stuff. And so what I've been trying to do is just get us all back up and running because the pop culture stuff never stops as we are learning here. So, but we have at the network had just like some steady stalwarts Beyond the Mouse. You guys have just been steady as they go. Of course, here at PBB and Shrinks, Brandon over at Classics has been absolutely crushing it. He's about to go cover the Turner Classic Movies Festival yet again. I'm pretty sure they should just put him on salary at this point for how much he publicizes all their stuff. But yeah, my wife and I are trying to take it a little easy. She is about to be the vocal director for the Springfield Muni production of The Hunchback of Notre Dame here. So she is going to be pulling her hair out, learning Latin for a couple of months here and trying to teach 50s plus adults how to sound like a Gregorian choir. But no, I mean, I've been doing all right. I've been just trying to chill out. And, we've been getting a lot of Marvel news as well over MCU HQ. Daredevil is on right now. Captain America just came out. But then also like wrestling, my man, the wrestling show, Five Star Pod Splash. John Cena just broke everyone's hearts, and the wrestling world is going nuts. So yeah,
I learned all about it from The Daily Show.
Yes, you learned all about it from the Daily Show. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with where everything is right now. Like I love like that spring is sprung, as you said, and there's just a lot of really good stuff in life. And what I've been trying to learn is just a lot of gratitude and just a lot of focus and focusing on the things that are right there in front of you and not worrying so much about the things you can't control. And I think that that's a lesson I learned a lot from Ted Lasso, if I'm being honest with you, just kind of trying to stay in the moment, not catastrophize, and just think about the things that you can do to make not only your life better, but everybody else's life around you better. And I'm so glad we get more of that here coming up. So, yeah, I'm happy to be back with all of you, and I'm hoping that you're happy to be back here with us. Also, just real quick, shout out to Michael Urie, the only winner this year for an award for Shrinking, winning Best Supporting Actor at the Critics' Choice Awards. Hashtag Justice for Harrison Ford. But this is, I'm just happy we're back in this space and that our boy Ted is once again coming back.
Yeah, that is just so phenomenal. And I guess we just got to keep believing, right? It's just so good to have Ted Lasso back in our lives. And join the PB&B Shrinks Facebook page, all of that stuff. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's geek out together about Ted Lasso as well. On a personal side of things, by the way, I forgot about this, but in the last couple of months, I just signed with a travel agency. So
That's
if you
right.
need a travel agent, I guess this is like, now I can say it's like our unofficial sponsor is
tell
Away With Me
Justin
Travel.
he owes us an ad. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Our good friend, actually from the first season of Peanut Butter and Biscuits,
Yes.
Justin Suter is the one that I jumped on board with. So you can look out for, you can work with me on all your travel needs, which is random on a Ted Lasso podcast. But when you understand how much I love Disney, I think it does make a little bit more sense.
Where can they find you, man, if they want to help, man? If they want
Craig at awaywithmetravel.com. Send me an email and I will get you all set up. I don't just do Disney. I can do a little bit of everything. So Craig at awaywithmetravel for sure. So I'm really bad at plugging actual businesses and things like that. I can talk people up all the time, but like it's been so funny to be like, would you like to use me too? But of course, the benefits there is that you don't actually pay me anything. I get a commission through the travel, so it all works out really well. So anyway. What a heck of a morning. What a way to start off the St. Patrick's Day weekend. Thank you to Jason Sudeikis for giving us this wonderful gift. Thank you to Travis and Jason Kelsey for also giving us this wonderful gift as well. And it's just wonderful. I mean, it's just like I'm on cloud nine. I'm going to be so excited for the rest of the day out here, and so much more podcasting yet to come for PB&B. Jeremy, I'm not actually being joking when I say this. I don't remember the sign off for Ted Lasso, for the Ted Lasso version of our podcast. So I don't know. Do you want to take it from here?
My goodness. Now I'm trying to remember it too.
Isn't that
It's
horrible?
been that long, everyone. It has been that long. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't remember it either. I guess we're just gonna have to regular sign off.
No, we gotta like, okay. We'll be back with you in just a second.
1 hour later.
Goodness, I gotta tell you, that was hilarious that we couldn't remember it. So we actually did have to listen to it. It's been that long, guys.
You're hearing the cut, guys.
I even have my goldfish tattoo nowadays. My arm tattoo that I got. But so I guess for Peanut Butter and Biscuits, I am Craig.
And I am Jeremy.
Be a goldfish.
Be a goldfish.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Front Row Network, a proud Community Voices member of National Public Radio Illinois. For more from the Front Row Network, including our articles or our other dozens of shows, visit thefrontrownetwork.com or nprillinois.org/programs/Front Row Network. You can also find us on social media by searching for the Front Row Network on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and on Twitter at Front Row Reviews with a Z.